We have some people we work with for many years. 1996, this book came out by Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, Stages of Islamic Revolution. It's a very good book. It came out in South Africa to talk about the stages of Islamic revolution. This one was brought out after In Pursuit of the Power of Islam, major writings of Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, similar to the others. We have people in the recent, present, past. This is Ayatollah Beheshti. He actually wrote basically the Constitution of Iran. This is Raghib Harb, a great alim from Lebanon, martyred in about 82, 83. No, yeah, about 83. This is a brother who actually took out Anwar Sadat, the arch criminal, right? And his whole crew went to prison, and then they were all martyred by the criminal government. Everybody you see on these have played a great role in the modern Islamic movement. Gulbuddin Hikmatyar, Ayatollah Montazeri, and this is the great Ayatollah right now in Lebanon. He has done a great job. He is the father of what we might call Hezbollah in Lebanon. What is this all about? Oh, and here's us, part of the same crew, creating a new global civilization of Islam. This is 1996 in South Africa. A great conference. And this relates to what we talked about, decline, analysis, and rebirth. This is about, we talked about the decline of Islam. We went through that period. We talked about analysis. That was during the period of the early last century. Analyzing what happened. What did we do wrong? Where did the Muslims go wrong? We came up with reality. We had drifted away from Islam. Right? What happened? Colonialism was our fault. We got out of the universal picture of Islam. We became satisfied with what we had, and we slowed down on inviting the world to Islam. So Europe went past us. When they went past us in technology and trade, and they surrounded us, then they said, we're going to take it all from the Muslims. So the colonial powers, when they went anywhere in the world, remember now, we ruled for 1,200 years out of our 1,400-year existence as the body known as Islam. So wherever colonial powers went, they were taking land and power and resources from the Muslims. No matter what color, no matter in what land, the majority of colonialism was European domination over people of color who were mostly Muslims. Right? And now the decline has set in. We talked about up until the early part of the century. Within a few years, after 4 years of the destruction of the Ottoman Caliphate in 1924, 4 years later, the modern Islamic movement, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, is born. Right? In 1941, Jamaat Islami is developed in Pakistan. Right? In Iran, the movement, in 1941, Imam Khomeini writes his first book against dictatorial powers, Kashf al-Asrar, called The Uncovering of Secrets. Now, we've analyzed what went wrong, and now we're in the process of getting ourselves together. Now, many of the people who played a part of this, their job, their duty, their responsibility was to take the movement to a certain level, but not go all the way. El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, and I want to mention that because it's close to his martyrdom, is one of those people. We wonder, why would Allah allow him to be martyred at that time? The world was not ready for Islamic struggle, for Islam, the establishment of Islam in 1965. They were still right in the middle of decolonization, right? So Allah allowed him to be taken, but at a time when he is, I don't want to use the word icon, but he is a perfect model of a martyr. He shows all the good inclinations of a human being who had went through every one of those human stages to arrive at the stage of Islam. And Allah allowed his life to be taken at that time because his death would be more important than his life. Now imagine Malcolm trying to develop an Islamic movement in America in 1965. Where's all our movements that were started in those days anyway? Or started in the 70s? Where are they at? Where are they at? Name me one Islamic movement that has been continuous all that time. And the one that did transformed into a pocket, a handkerchief-headed wearing, government type, I don't know what you want to call it, collaborating movement. Isn't that right? So there is none. But why? Because that wasn't the time. Allah said he gave everything shape and form and fashion, right? And created everything according to a measure. Now, if during that period the Islamic movement was not fully developing or developed, what was it doing? It was developing in every country. In Egypt, it was still growing, although Nasser had squashed the Ikhwan in 1954 and 55. By the 1968 and 69 and 70, by him killing it in Egypt, it spread all over the world. Some came here, some went to Australia, some went to Jordan, some went everywhere. Right? Everybody went through this natural process of regionalism, nationalism, tribalism to Islam. The Palestinian movement. Any of you remember the 70s? What was it? The PLO, right? Palestinian Liberation Army. Or one of the other groups that was what? Arab nationalists in origin. Where are all those groups now? Everybody has evolved from regionalism, nationalism, or Arab nationalism to what? Islam. See? Now, what does that mean to you and I? That the Islamic movement is on time, in time, and this is the time for the full bloom of the Islamic movement in America and all over the world. And when that happens, nothing the American government can do to stop it. Nothing. They're already a whole hog against it, right? And they're still moving on. What we're trying to say is now about our destiny, about the destiny of you and I here in America. We are strategically located in the most sensitive area of the world at this time. If you have a revolution in Iran, you cut off the fingers of colonialism, of imperialism, right? When you have a rebellion anywhere in the world, you're cutting at the fingers and the nails of it. But when you develop fully here in America, you are right in the heart of the shaitan. We are right in the heart of it. And Allah placed us here. See, you got to try to study Allah's plan, not the white man's plan. If you think, look at that historical, you'll think, oh man, we was here as slave, and you'll still be talking about we want affirmative action or something like that, right? You keep your affirmative action. Allah didn't send us here for that. Allah sent us here to be on the spot at the time of the worldwide Islamic revival, and we would come to Islam. That's what's happening. Now the question is, what will we do about it? That's the question.